As you know, corrupt village of Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard is very security conscious. She is so afraid of harm coming to her that she even paid a team of police officers, out of the village's funds of course, to watch over her as she moved around town. They were with her everywhere she went, even when she left town on a business trip. Now, there are a lot of scary individuals out there, and Tiffany wasn't taking any chances. One day, Tiffany noticed a certain member of the audience that seemed obsessed over her. He showed up at meeting after meeting, always playing the mean lapdog for whenever it got too hot in the kitchen. Always careful, she looked into his background. The dude had a criminal record and had even been charged with being a sexual predator. His crimes included sexual battery, theft, assault of a police officer, filing a false police report, and falsification of government records. And here he was, fawning over her at every board meeting. Scary stuff. Something had to be done, and Tiffany the security baron was just the right person to do it. A lot has been said on YouTube about her response to this insidious element, and no one has gotten it right. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With cold, blunt analysis cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's time for the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
Okay, she hired him to be the next village administrator. All right? If you were looking for Tiffany to do something to protect her or the public from this monster, that's what you get for thinking like a normal, rational, law-abiding citizen. You need to engage in Tiffany think. Lower your maturity and understanding of the world to that which you had when you were 12. I would not advise doing so for extended periods of time. Meet Michael A. Smith, the new city manager for Dalton. Well, not really. He would still need to be confirmed by the Board of Trustees, and the last time I looked, hell was still pretty hot. You can count on Michael for a few things in life. Breaking the law and begging for free handouts are most of them. You see, Michael desperately needs a job. His only means of supporting himself so far has centered on becoming a board member, not in Dalton, but in Dixmoor. After they ran him out of town for trying to steal gas disguised as a cop, he tried to become a trustee for the village of Riverdale. Evidently, the people of Riverdale are just a little smarter than those from Dixmoor. He didn't win, so times have gotten real tough for him. He can't even get free gas anymore. So here's Michael Smith at the Thornton Township meeting on April 11th, 2023, upset that Thornton Township isn't giving away free stuff anymore. And who needs that free stuff more than anybody? Michael Smith. Let's listen.
The struggle that she has went through. Being a resident of Riverdale, my own mayor wouldn't allow certain things for our residents to happen because she's a female supervisor.
That's right.
That's where we need the news media at.
Right.
That tried to stop a food giveaway.
Yes,
That stopped the gas giveaway. We had to go to Dalton to get our gas. We need to back our supervisor. I was here when Frank was here. And there's a change now. There's a new person in leadership. We should give her the same respect that we gave her. The same respect. I didn't hear not one trustee, I came to the meetings, go against him. But now we got trustees want to ask questions. Why didn't we ask questions when Frank was here? Why didn't we ask questions? There was no question. There was always a yes vote.
Frank probably didn't have the FBI investigating him. He also probably didn't bankrupt an entire town. He simply didn't engage in the corruption that Tiffany did. That's why he didn't have all those questions coming at him.
We have got to stand up for the things that are right in our community. And I know when we talk about the $5 million, that was for this building here. Why would we even put $5 million in this? We could have tore this down and built something new. But we have somebody here with vision. I see the vision. You talk about bingo nights here. How many seniors are packed in this room here and have a love for their supervisor? Okay? Let's talk didn't know where I was going to get my next gas.
I don't know about you, but I don't remember my city or county giving away free food and gas to people. Is that its responsibility? But according to these people, yes. They love Tiffany because she gives them things. That's why the bingo is so important to her. She got support because she gave away free TVs and washers and dryers and stuff. And how is she paying for that? Well, Lori Lightfoot is probably going to tell us here pretty soon.
I thank you. We have people run out. We have people that run out. Giving back. I'm talking about giving back to the community. This is the first time I've seen a supervisor, other than giving food, give back to the community. You talk about TV, they are excited to see that. And we have so much negativity, but we never talk about the positive things going on here.
So these people firmly believe in the Robin Hood myth. There's only one small problem. Robin Hood stole from the rich and gave it to the poor. There are no rich people in Dixmoor or in Dalton. No, Robin Hood here, Tiffany, is stealing from them and giving back some of it to them every week in the form of bingo. And they're totally happy with that. They will never understand. Now, what was all this about? Well, Tiffany Henyard didn't hire him to run the city. It comes down to this. Michael Smith has a character trait that made him Tiffany's perfect choice. It's not his brains. This is a guy who couldn't spell dots if you spotted him the D, the O, and the T. I'm being serious. Okay, so you think I'm joking. Here.
But you guys got to connect the dots. D-O-T-T-S. Dots.
Dummy.
He certainly wasn't hired because of his educational background. All he has is a high school diploma. That and a certificate at a barber college. Remember, he was voted as a trustee for Dixmoor while he was still in high school. Let that soak in. But what about his career experiences? Well, he wasn't hired for that either. Ignore the first one. That's just the recent gig for the village of Dalton. Prior to that, he was a trustee for the village of Dixmoor, a town of only 3,700 people, whose corruption would rival that of Dalton. I'm not joking. It's pretty bad. I'm going to have another video on that coming up. The only real jobs that he's had are security officer gigs. One for a local junior college, and the other one for a security firm. Keep in mind that he had already been arrested numerous times when he got these gigs. They must not have done a very thorough background check on him. Keep in mind that being a trustee is not really adequate training to be a village administrator. It helps, but it's really no substitute for a degree in urban planning or law. I know quite a few city managers, and they either have advanced degrees or a long history of municipal planning and management. None of them were former board members. That's not a career path you see very often. I'm going to read to you now some news clippings, and I want you to pay attention to certain things, and I will let you know when I come across them. Here we go. Trustee Michael Smith and others gathered in a conference room at Dixmoor's Village Hall to discuss an employment issue. Then Police Chief Ron Burge questioned Smith's motivation for rehiring an employee. Smith became irate, shouting and using profanity. As Burge was leaving, Smith allegedly lunged at him and said, "You don't know who you're effing with." Other officials had to restrain Smith. Dixmoor police reports claim Smith has had numerous run-ins with his fellow public servants, the town's former mayor, other board members, and police. Cook County court records show Smith has been charged for at least 8 times with crimes ranging from domestic battery against his great-aunt to resisting arrest. In 2012, Smith pleaded guilty to misdemeanor theft after being charged with stealing gasoline from Dixmoor. He had to resign his position as part of the plea agreement, but Smith was later re-elected. You see, Dixmoor could teach Dalton a thing or two about corruption. So here's another clipping. Police reports detail numerous confrontations between Smith and other government officials. In 2011, he got into an argument with then-Mayor Kevin Grimmett, during which Smith allegedly jumped up in Grimmett's face and stated that, "I will knock your effing out." Also in 2011, a police officer attempted to arrest Smith for driving on a suspended license. When confronted, Smith said that he was a village official and did not need to follow any laws. He pleaded guilty in that case and was sentenced to 1 year supervision. Last December, Smith reportedly ran into an alderman from neighboring Harvey at an office downtown, and though they didn't say a word to each other, Smith later called the alderman and said, "We coming for your expletive. You a expletive. You better watch your back." Smith is currently involved in a conflict with Mayor Dorothy Armstrong. Armstrong said Smith is disruptive at meetings, screaming and hollering uncontrollably. He's always talking about, "You an old lady, you taking medication, you a redhead." So Michael Smith ran for trustee while still in high school, won, and has done nothing with his life ever since. He hasn't held a real job for nearly a decade. My gut feeling is that he's exceedingly poor and possibly even homeless. He has a barber's license from 10 years ago that is almost certainly no longer valid. He is the worst sort of politician, one that is only in it for the money because it's the only way he can make money. His short fuse, low IQ, and lack of any real experience make him unfit for any public office. He certainly has no ability to handle a job such as a village administrator. But he's loud, obnoxious, and has no respect for codes of conduct. And that's why Tiffany likes him. So why did Tiffany hire him? Well, you could probably guess by now what I'm getting at. Tiffany hired Smith to be her muscle. Don't believe me? Check out her expression after watching Smith berate township trustees at a meeting.
A lot of these people are here tonight because of your senator. Your no good senator. Napoleon Harris that does nothing. Matter of fact, she sits on the board. Tell them about the bonuses you got, Stephanie.
She absolutely admires his intimidation tactics. That glow on her face reminds me of the look mothers get when their sons win a school prize. I think Tiffany wants to intimidate other village administrators into silence. After all, what would Al Capone do? He would hire an enforcer. Tiff wants to be Al Capone. So in her mind, she's doing it the gangsta way. She has to put Smith on the payroll, because if he's not on the payroll, cops can simply trespass him from the public buildings. So once hired, he can roam around inside the building, visiting various staffers and reminding them that, you talking really could hurt Tiffany. And she has a lot of support out there. You do realize what can happen. Keep in mind that Tiffany can always claim, "I never told him to do that." She will absolutely hang him out to dry if the feds come around. She can't do it herself because the FBI is watching, but she can have Smith do it for her. In the end, Tiffany is doing what all tyrants do when they come under fire. First, they expunge everyone around them that poses any possible threat to their power. Communist tyrants like Lenin and Stalin would simply have them taken down into the cellars and shot. Fortunately for anyone walking the streets of Dalton, Tiffany doesn't have that kind of power, or she would. I'm not exaggerating when I say that Tiffany is quite capable of supporting violent human rights abuses if she could get away with them. She is an extremely dangerous person and needs to be locked up until all of her political enemies have long passed on to that great big bingo game in the sky. The next thing that tyrants do is that they hire replacements who are loyalists, no matter their backgrounds. A violent criminal past is actually a bonus. As J9 Eve pointed out in her hilarious video, the more disturbing the background, the better. The new village administrator tried to groom a 15-year-old. She doesn't care. One of Tiffany's aides is sexually assaulted in Las Vegas by a board trustee that's one of her cronies. She doesn't give a hoot. If Michael Smith had been charged with murder at some time in his past, so much the better. Perhaps he can rub out some of her opponents. In Uganda, Idi Amin expelled Asian Indian owners of manufacturing plants and replaced them with his buddies, even though they had no experience running such plants. And the impact on the country's economy was devastating. But he didn't care. Driving a population into intense poverty was of no concern to him, nor is it a concern to Tiffany. She knows fully well that she's cooking the town's economy to evaporation, making the population more dependent on handouts. And who is in charge of giving out all the free food and gas? She is. Of course. Now they have to vote for her. Her motives are not hard to understand. Does this sound like a certain political party you know? Like my video and subscribe to my channel.